Hey guys, Ryan's back with Wednesday night college basketball video. It is Wednesday just after 5 p.m., so a lot of you guys are probably headed home from work. I am once again on vacation, so doing a deep dive on all these games. Just got wrapped up with tonight's games. Got to be honest with you guys, got about two or three plays here with about six leans. Not actively firing them off yet, but or now, but feel comfortable with two or three of these. The rest are just kind of, like I said, leans. Last night, college basketball on the Sleepy Tuesday kind of introduced this. Home dogs, very short home dogs, or teams that could be looking ahead now that you get in this kind of dog days grind of the season, holiday grind. You guys got to be honest. Let's think about it. These are college kids. They're away from home. There's a lot of craziness going on right now with the holidays. So that just kind of plays into it. These teams are right in the middle of their seasons. A lot of them are getting off their preseason kind of tournaments, Battle for Atlantis, if you will, and kind of getting back to the home and away road schedule that can kind of wear on teams, or team can produce schedule spots where we look for value and kind of look for edges there. So yesterday on our Sleepy Tuesday, you got to think not a lot going on a Tuesday afternoon for a basketball game, at least. If you're on the road, you're traveling right in the middle of the week, get the rest of the week going on. If you have a big game this weekend, you could be overlooking a lesser opponent. And if you're on the road and that a lesser opponent is in their own barn, that is always a recipe for disaster for that favorite. So, yesterday we kind of knocked out a couple spots. Just recapping, I think we went 4-2 on the day, but like I said, a lot of those were dogs, and some of them were even money line dogs, so way profitable on the day for sure. Recapping, we had Wake Forest plus 8.5. That ended up being a loser. Wake Forest, I'm not sure. I mean, yes, Texas A&M is they were in their own gym and they're a very good team, but we got to think about kind of who Wake Forest is and who they were at the preseason rankings. Really just kind of falling off from there. Definitely a tough game to win, or even try to cover when you're playing Texas A&M at home and they've got it rolling. But if you limit their offensive rebounds, I think you're okay. But just 8.5 didn't cover for us there. Not to worry though. Providence plus 6.5. That team ended up winning outright. We're able to call that home dog, and getting the 6.5 points and pretty much winning comfortably the entire game makes it an easy cash for us. Literally no sweat involved with that. So love that. Need more of it. Alabama State. I guess when I was talking to Volk and trying to convince that, and I was like, this seems crazy. Should have read the writing on the wall there. Plus 22.5 did not hold up on the road against SMU. SMU just likes to run. And they were not seeming to be looking ahead. Most of that game, that game had its runs. Alabama State actually kept that game pretty dang close for most of the first half, and then the second half seems like it just kind of fell off a cliff last couple of minutes there, and really kind of got out of hand and got in the 30s. So once you get in there, it's tough to kind of get out of that muck. But kind of keeping back with the back and forth trend, we then took Northeastern money line, very, very short dog. Actually, I think they were more of a pick 'em at home against LaSalle, but LaSalle coming off a pretty dominant win against a rival in Temple, and then immediately going on the road to Northeastern, which needed a win, a better team than what they've shown so far, to get the win on the road there or at home against LaSalle. That is a very good showing there. And then wrapping up our two dogs, we had UNC Greensboro beating High Point at home. This is another short dog, plus 102 or plus 105 on the money line, depending on when you got it. But good to see them pull out a late win at home. Thought that was going to be a close game, and I'm glad we were able to call out a dog victory there. And then this was actually really just kind of, pat myself on the back here. Called out UNC Wilmington at plus 222 odds. I think the Whip It Out Wednesday or Whip It Out play of the day creating creating that rule that it has to be a plus 200 or more dog. I think that'll just be fun to keep track throughout the year, see how we are at, calling out money lines on that are bigger. And it's good to come out 1-0 on that UNC Wilmington, going on the road and actually beating East Carolina at home. East Carolina, though, is about to go and play South Carolina. So there was definitely an opportunity for a look-ahead game there. And UNC Wilmington is kind of too good to look ahead against. So it was good to see them pull that one out. That was pretty much the Sleepy Tuesday picks. Also, if you saw late last night, we dropped a NBA 3-leg parlay or 4-leg parlay. That came 1 leg short. Unfortunately, came 1 point short. That was a missed free throw, about 2 minutes left to go in the game. And then also our guy jumped on it at the very end of the game, and we thought there was a foul call called, but I guess not. They ended up just kind of waving it off, and game ended. But it's always a shame when you need 12 points to cash, a plus 700 odd 4-leg parlay, and you come a free throw short. That's tough, but is what it is. Let's focus on tonight, shall we? So we'll pull up our notes here. It's going to be a crazy game for college basketball, at least. Thrill score up and down this slate for tonight. There is, at least, I want to say 10 games with a thrill score of 50 or higher. Usually those games that get in the 70s are really good. So I figured we'll cover those games. Any thrill score that scores 70 or higher based on KenPom, I figured that would be the games that most people are watching tonight. So probably best to cover those first, and then, we'll kind of go over our picks after. So of those games that are ranked, there's 7 of them here, 70 and higher. We'll start off Kansas and Creighton, Baylor at Connecticut, Marquette at Iowa State, Ohio State at Maryland, Pittsburgh at Mississippi State, Alabama at North Carolina, and then wrapping it up, the heaviest matchup at the end of the night, Auburn at number 4 Duke. Cameron Indoor will be going absolutely insane. So with that being said, we'll just kind of start with what the early games are, and then we'll go later, give you guys more chances to kind of cover this later. So Ohio State at Maryland, this game's going to get started right about an hour from now. Ohio State, number 19, according to KenPom, going to Maryland at number 30. Both these teams are really elite, up and down, both good offenses and good defenses. Ohio State's offense, really good up and down. They do shoot the 3 ball very well. Maryland does prevent the 3 ball decently. Top 100 in the nation here. And then on the Maryland side, more dumping it in, which is kind of the teeth of Ohio State's defense. But Ohio State does foul here. Maryland doesn't get to the line nearly as much as they could here. But if Ohio State on the road can get into foul trouble, that's always problemsome. To be honest with you, though, to keep this short and sweet, these teams are too evenly paired here. I would lean Maryland at home, but definitely just a very light lean, not even thinking about touching that game whatsoever. Next game, Baylor at Connecticut. So let's talk about it. Connecticut had a bad preseason tournament, came out of that week 0-3, lost to Memphis, Colorado, and Dayton back-to-back. Dayton wasn't even close. They lost by 18 points. And then they came back home. They kind of destroyed Maryland Eastern Shore. No surprise there. But now you got Baylor. Baylor's number 23 in the nation. Only have lost 2 games, both to top 5 opponents, Gonzaga and Tennessee. Tennessee, they lost pretty handedly to. Gonzaga, they lost a lot. Gonzaga pretty much blew them out, made them look really bad at home for Gonzaga. But we look at Baylor and, we ask, hey, what did they do well? They shoot very well. These guys shoot the 3. They're 41 in the nation, shooting about 38% from 3, and Connecticut doesn't necessarily defend the 3 very well. So issues right there off the rip, jumping off the page for Connecticut. Also, I think Alex Caravan for Connecticut's gonna be out today, so that's a pretty big hit. Hasn't moved the line at all, though. In fact, I think Connecticut's still pretty holding strong at -3.5. But Baylor being able to shoot pretty good, and Connecticut being kind of exposed on the three, but also at the foul line. They foul a lot. They're one of the worst teams in the nation. They got to get the foul issues figured out. Luckily for them, Baylor doesn't necessarily get to the line very much. They don't force the issue, so a blessing in disguise there. I don't expect Connecticut to get in the foul trouble that they have been in, but at the same time, something you do not want to have kind of dragging with you throughout the season. Good teams will take advantage of that every single time. Not saying Baylor's not a good team. It's just Baylor doesn't necessarily want to go to the line nearly as much. They don't force the issue. What does Connecticut do well? They're going to shoot the three. They're going to shoot the three, and they're going to shoot it well, and Baylor is awful from three. One of the worst teams in the nation, opponents shooting 41%. Baylor could be in trouble here, especially with Connecticut at home. With something to prove, you know what I mean? Even without Alex Caravan or Caravan or however you say his name, they have something to prove here at home, and they can shoot the three very well. Could get ugly very quickly for Baylor if they're not defending that very well. Baylor will steal the ball, but Connecticut takes care of it very well, especially on the interior side. They don't get blocked very much, and they don't give up the ball to a steal. Overall, I mean, I'd probably lean Connecticut just because there's something to prove on that team. Baylor's a good team. If they can kind of force the issue and get Connecticut into foul trouble, that might be worrisome for Connecticut. But overall, I'd lean Connecticut. All right, moving right along. Now we got to jump over 7:15 game, Alabama at North Carolina. Alabama 10th, according to Cambaum. North Carolina 16th. Alabama's offense, number 3 in the nation. Just an absolute juggernaut of an offense. They shoot the three a lot, about half the time, I would say. They don't shoot it necessarily well yet. I think it's a lot volume-based, but right around 33%. UNC isn't necessarily great at defending the three, 236th in the nation. Beyond that, Alabama's going to try to get to the line. UNC doesn't necessarily foul a lot. They are also at Chapel Hill, so take that for what it is. UNC on the offense, great offense, but they are much more significantly oriented to dumping it inside. Don't shoot the three nearly as much. Get to the line a lot. Alabama fouls a lot. They also have a deep bench, so not necessarily worrying there. But when North Carolina does get to the line, they do hit their free throws. 23rd in the nation in free throw percentage, so love that. Overall, at home, I would lean UNC in this game, but right now I haven't put anything in. -125, not the worst money line for UNC at home, trust me. Moving right along, Marquette at Iowa State. Don't have much to talk about on this one, to be honest with you. I'm not going to touch. I like Marquette's offense, but I'm not going to touch it at Iowa State. Iowa State's defense, number 13th in the nation. Actually, not the best part about this team. Their adjusting efficiency on offense, 4th best in the nation. Found that surprising, but a very good Iowa State team at home. Both these teams don't really have look-ahead spots. They're focusing on each other here. Marquette does have Wisconsin next, but like I said, on the road going to an environment like Iowa State, I think you're ready for that matchup. Marquette's going to try to shoot the ball, 3-ball particularly, and they shoot it a lot, 36th in the nation at that. Iowa State limits the three pretty good. Doesn't get exposed nearly as bad as some teams. Iowa State, when on offense, they do not shoot the three at all, which Marquette defends pretty well. But because they dump it inside, I feel like that is the one edge that they'll have here on the offenses. Marquette's defense on the inside is not nearly as what it is on the outside. Marquette, number 1 in steals, by the way. Overall, I would just say, hey, stay off it. Enjoy a great game from Ames, Iowa. But I'm not gonna lay the amount of points Iowa's giving up here tonight. Moving right along, Kansas at Creighton. So disclaimer, I'm a Kansas fan. I've always been a Kansas fan. I we won some prop bets the other day with this team because they are predictable in how they play. So if you get a pick and roll team like that, KJ Adams is always going to do pretty well. Um, Hunter Dickinson will have his Jekyll and Hyde games for sure. But here they're going to Creighton, and Creighton's actually a defense that kind of worries me here because they're the way to attack them is through the air. They have really good 2-point field goal percentage. They have teams shooting right around 40%, 22nd in the nation on the defensive end for 2-point percentage. It's not necessarily something you want to see with Kansas that doesn't shoot a lot of threes. They are much more oriented to dump it inside this year. So kind of right into the Creighton teeth of the defense there. Kansas does not get fouled, and neither does Creighton give up fouls. Number 3 in the nation in foul percentage there for the Creighton defense. Really good there for Creighton if you're trying to back them. On the other side, Creighton's offense, they're going to shoot a lot of threes. We saw Kansas play a team, I think it was Furman last week, that had some runs against the three on them. Now, this is actually going to be in Creighton, so take that for an advantage there. Kansas may find themselves in trouble at times here in this game. I don't necessarily say I'd want to jump on a Kansas live money line if I see them down. They're kind of due for a letdown here, and let's see who they got next. They got Missouri. I mean, technically Creighton's kind of popping up ahead of them in KenPom than Missouri, and Coach Bill Self's a good coach. I don't think they're looking ahead here. It's just kind of a mismatch issue. It's a stay away from me, especially since I am a Kansas fan. I'm not going to lay any points here on the road. Okay, next we have Pittsburgh at Mississippi State, 9:15. We're getting these late games now. Pittsburgh at Mississippi State in Mississippi State. Pittsburgh's offense, number 13th in the nation. What are they going to try to do? They're going to try to shoot the three. Did they shoot it necessarily well from three? No. Mississippi State, though, not necessarily great from 3-point percentage on the defensive end either. The opponent shooting about 35%. You like to see that if you're a Pittsburgh backer here. When Pittsburgh does dump it inside, Mississippi State does have better interior defense. Top 100 in both percentage and block percentage. They're really elite on the steal side of things. Number 3 in the nation, get a steal about 15% of possessions. But Pittsburgh's pretty good ball handling team. They limit those to about 6% of possessions, which is 15th best in the nation. Mississippi State on offense, they're going to take care of the ball. They're going to shoot the three well, and Pittsburgh's got I would say a top 30 defense up and down the board. They don't nearly protect the three as well as they do the two, but they're both protecting them pretty good. We're talking about 73rd in the nation compared to a 44th in the nation protecting the two, so negligible difference there. Overall, I would lean Pittsburgh here. However, it's on the road against a Mississippi State team that, I don't think either of these teams are really looking ahead either. I got to double check that, though, just to be sure. Pittsburgh will play Virginia Tech next, and Mississippi State is playing Prairie View. So, no look ahead there. I just think it's an extremely close game. So, if Pittsburgh's laying any points or getting any points, I would say take them all. Current line on that one. I got to check the latest and greatest for us. Plus 5.5. So it is pretty dang close to a lock in there. I would lean heavy on Pittsburgh. Who has Pittsburgh played? Pittsburgh's played a lot of good plays. Yeah. Just wanted to make sure of that beforehand. Make sure I don't catch some team that's looking really good because they played just absolute jokers the entire time. You don't want that. All right. And then wrapping it up here, the last of these kind of wild thrill score games, Auburn at Duke. So Auburn's number 1 in the nation, going to Cameron Indoor. Duke's ranked 4th in the nation. You got to expect Cameron Indoor to be absolutely jam-packed tonight. It's a later game for a 9:15 Eastern time game on a Wednesday night, but the Cameron crazies will be going absolutely crazy, as I'm sure we all know. Auburn, number one in adjusted efficiency on offense. Duke, number one adjusted efficiency on defense. It's the strength of both teams. Inside Cameron Indoor, you got to even put the fan factor on Duke's side there. What are they going to try to do though? Auburn's gonna try to shoot the ball from three primarily. 77th in the nation 3-point percentage. Take 3-point rate about 72nd in the nation in the 3-point percentage for taking threes on possession basis. But honestly, Cameron or Duke defense, number 3 in the nation on 2-point percentage, number 28th in the nation on the 3-point percentage. Just a really buzzsaw of a defense there. Duke on offense also going to try to shoot the three. Auburn's defense, Bruce Pearl is going to create a lot of up-in-your-face opportunities. So not a lot of people are even shooting threes against Auburn. When they do shoot threes, however, they are hitting at about 34%, which is pretty good. Auburn's not going to necessarily foul you. Neither is Duke necessarily going to go to the foul line. Just overall kind of a hard game to cap here. And with these teams being so close, I would lean Duke, but just being at home. But at the same time, not gonna make any type of stances. So that is the quick glance at the heavy games tonight. Now we'll kind of look into our leans. Like I said, we do lean UNC minus 125 on that money line. You're not going to find that type of money line on a UNC team at home very often. Outside of that, we have Lehigh minus 110 on the money line. Let me find Lehigh. Lehigh is a 7 o'clock game. They play Monmouth. So both these teams looking horrible on Ken Palm. Take that with a grain of salt. Lehigh, however, if you look at their losses, number 64 Northwestern, number 87 Georgetown, number 18 UCLA, and then they have a kind of a unforgivable loss, number 321 St. Francis. But if you look at what Lehigh does, pretty good offense, bad defense. And you got to think, or is that bad defense because of who they played so far? Monmouth on the other side, a couple good teams. They played Michigan State, Rutgers, and Wichita State. Outside of that, though, they have a lot of losses in the teams in the 200 rankings, 300 ranking loss. They did beat Seton Hall on the road last game. It was their first win. Got to think they might be a little bit high off that last win, coming back down to earth, playing Lehigh. I saw Lehigh as a minus 110 money line at home after that big win for Monmouth on the road. I would just say that, they come back down to earth and Lehigh gets the win here at home. Furman, minus 135 on the money line against Florida Gulf Coast. This is another game. Furman, they shoot the three an extremely large amount of the time. So about 45% of their points generated on offense are from the three ball. They take the third most threes in a game in the nation. On defense, Florida Gulf Coast, which will be trying to defend these three balls. They don't necessarily do it very well. 35% of these points generated on defense are from the three ball. That's 73rd in the nation. And the opponents shoot about 34% from three, which is 206. Nothing to write home about whatsoever. So Furman could expose them, especially, coming off a loss to Kansas. And by the way, that being their only loss. Beating teams like Belmont, Jacksonville as well. Florida Gulf Coast could have issues here because Furman, as we've seen, even against Kansas, they can shoot and they can shoot very well. Florida Gulf Coast has had to get bailed out a couple times this year already. Lost games against Northeastern, UNC Greensboro. They've lost some formidable games against some formidable opponents too, TCU, St. Bonaventure, and Drake. But overall, I see that glaring weakness on the defensive end for threes, and I say that's a spot where Furman can kind of make them pay here. Now, they are on the road. Furman is from South Carolina. They're playing in Fort Myers, Florida, at Florida Gulf Coast. So, take what it will. They may not shoot as good as they would if they were at home, but Florida Gulf Coast not pressuring them should help us out enough there. On the offense for Florida Gulf Coast, what they're going to try to do is shoot the three as well, and Furman's elite here on the three defensively. Opponents only shooting 24% from three. That's second best in the nation. So I feel like Florida Gulf Coast kind of handcuffing themselves there into the strength of Furman's defense, while Furman's offense is exposing a glaring weakness for Florida Gulf Coast. Florida Gulf Coast is kind of a more popular name than Furman, so I feel like that's why a lot of people are actually on them rather than Furman, but matchup-wise, style-wise, Furman's the clear play. Moving right along from there, I wanted to kind of point this late night out once again. Oregon going to USC. And if you will, this could be another addition to the I was going to do this one, USC getting 6.5 right now. I was going to do the spread, but honestly, what I would really like to do is grab the entire money line for a plus 200, whip it out Wednesday, 200 dog of the night. Oregon could very well be in trouble here looking ahead off of USC and looking ahead towards UCLA, who they play later this week. They play Sunday night at home against UCLA. So on the road here during the week, grind it out, late game. A lot of the public could be on Oregon here. They looked really good, completely undefeated, own the nation's longest win streak right now. And they beat number 10 Alabama, although it was very narrowly. They were looking pretty dominant for most of that game. And I think everybody saw that and now sees USC as an inferior opponent. USC, not undefeated, lost. They're 5-3. Their losses coming from St. Mary's, New Mexico, and California. They haven't beaten a single team in the top 100 yet. This would be their first opportunity at home. It's not a talent issue. Josh Cohen's really good. Desmond Claude, obviously we saw Desmond Claude play from Xavier, and he is just an absolute beast. I really like how he shoots 50 some odd percent because he's kind of a layup guy. He's really good at getting good buckets. Just overall, I think USC, you're running into an issue here. Oregon being on the road, if USC can limit offensive rebounds against Oregon, because Oregon can get an offensive rebound about 35% of their possessions. If they can limit them there, it's going to be okay. I think Oregon wants to dump it inside for the most part, getting 50% of their points from the inside mark. USC can definitely improve on defense, up and down, 30s, 2s, doesn't matter really what. The only thing that they have going for them is they get turnovers from steals, but other than that, they need to improve. Where you can get actually a lot of issues here, USC is going to try to jump and dump things in for Oregon, USC being on at home. Hopefully they can get some foul calls. Oregon does not foul. Only 15% of the points generated on defense from Oregon is from the foul line. Not anything to write home about. Mostly you can hit them from threes. USC doesn't shoot threes. It's just an overall tough game. I think most of the lean here is because Oregon could be leaning, looking ahead to UCLA, and USC is there just not to be overlooked. Definitely a decent team. No team to write home about USC, but I think talent-wise they can at least show up tonight. So that will be kind of the whip it out dog of the night. USC, I think it's right around plus 200 right now, and then getting 6 points. I think that was it. I think we covered everything for tonight. Yeah. We'll have some early games. I gotta get these videos out to you guys earlier. I think the best way to do it is if the lines show up at like midnight or something. I do early morning vids and then release it, and then you guys have it. Basically for you guys to listen to it whenever you get around to it. We got to. I'm glad that we got these YouTube videos going. We got to find a way to kind of integrate IG and Twitter or X in here as well, and then from there, I think obviously if anybody wants to join or contribute a little bit to the podcast, by all means, it's a community. We'd love to have you. So, those are the picks, guys. I'll wrap this up, land this plane. Best of luck tonight. Hope you guys all win every single one of your bets. That's a 30-minute video right there. Have a good night, everybody.